Welcome back to Midwest Girls.
Hello, everyone.
We are using some new technology today,
Oh, it's so exciting.
and it is. We actually have headphones on.
And my hair probably looks like dog ears. Cocker spaniel.
So now you will get to hear our labs even better.
Well, I'm just glad that all these things kind of came together at once for us.
Yes.
Jess was like, you need a mixing board. And then all you were like, hey, I can do this.
Yes.
And Angie's been doing all her stuff.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So we're just really excited because there are a lot of things happening in our church, and with us already doing it and using one of our rooms, it's kind of like we're coming together to start something really awesome at our church, and Midwest Girls is going to kind of help out with that. And in return, there's some things that have been able to help us out with.
Yeah.
So
It's a podcast church.
yes,
It's cool.
so the big reveal is coming, but it is called Imago Day Studios. So just be on the lookout for the big media day reveal. We got a few things coming, and I'm excited because this is what I like to do. I love content creation of any sort. So
I just keep showing up and going, whoa, wow, it's awesome.
this is amazing.
Wow, guys.
But actually, this is almost a perfect fit,
Yeah, it is.
because we were like talking about things that are happening, and we thought we'd just talk to you guys about what Project 68 is, what Midwest Girls is, and why we're doing it, kind of thing. I feel like there's a lot of things that people don't fully know why we do it, or maybe know all that we're open to doing.
Yeah, I think it's also good for any new listeners who might have. It's every so often you just reintroduce who we are, what we do.
Yeah,
So here it is.
yeah.
Who we are, what we do.
Do you want to start?
No. I want you to start. I'm very honest. That's one thing about me.
I feel like I am too, but
You are.
sometimes it gets me in trouble. But anyway, so actually let's start here.
Okay.
So what's crazy, and what I also, all these things are falling, like pieces are kind of coming together. I was actually just talking to somebody on the phone. I led a prayer call earlier today. Then after that, I had a phone conversation with the lady. And she was just asking me about things I do, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, Project 68 actually will be 5 this year.
What?
I know.
That's wild.
So it is wild. So in August, it'll be Project 68 will be 5 years old. It started off as a blog, which is funny because now that's the thing that happens the least.
Yeah, blogging had its heyday.
Yeah. So there's blogs that gets thrown up there every once in a while. But for the most part, I feel like the video, so like table talks, the audio with Midwest Girls, even the video portion of Midwest Girls is kind of like the main content now, with social media and everything like that. And there's some things that I would like to do to up our social media game, but at the same time, it just takes more time.
Yeah. We are, while we care about reaching people, we're not like out there to make it. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, we want to have impact for Jesus, and but we're not necessarily like we need 1 million followers.
Exactly. And so with that in mind, that kind of always, I think, brings both of us back to, yes, do we want to create a social media presence? Yeah, and it comes naturally. But I'm not going to necessarily kill myself trying to get a post out every other day or something,
To beat the algorithm.
Exactly. So what you see is what you get if you actually watch the video portion of Herbert's podcast. I think that's included on there when he says, oh, well, I'm just happy you guys are exactly who you are online.
I don't know who else to be.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, but with Project 68, and I thought you were going to say something.
Well, what is our motto?
Okay, so our motto is basically being unashamed of being completely in love with Jesus. And I think I butchered it, but it's on
Unashamedly bold,
Yes.
truthful, and
genuine. I was trying to think of what I had written on the bottom of the
emblem.
The what's it called? The header of the website.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when we started this, that when Meg came on, and then when Beth came on at that time, I remember sitting at our kitchen table and we were all talking about this, like, what do we want to be? And even though Beth isn't really, I don't want to say she's not a part of it, because I feel like that sounds mean, but she's not she's not.
Yeah.
How do I want to say that?
Well, she stepped back.
Yeah, she stepped back. There we go. But she's still like an amazing cheerleader for us, and she'll come on the podcast eventually. We're trying to get her on for a friend's podcast. Okay. But we basically were like, okay, what do we want to be? Like, who are we? What do we believe what do we want to stand for? And how do we want to approach people? And, that's when it came to being bold, truthful, and genuine. So we wanted to basically embolden Christians to be unashamed of their faith. There's like a thread here throughout my life and everything I do. But I'm think just like putting together, like, hey, this is how this started, and hey, raising unashamed kids.
There it is.
There it is. But with that, on our website, you can also see that we are both also open to whether you need music, whether you need a speaker, whether you need both, for a conference, or even like I don't want to say small group, but maybe like a worship night. Yeah, a workshop, a worship night at church. Just like, we're just really open to what the Lord has for us, and we're putting our gifts and talents out there for people to tap into if the Lord leads them to us. And I think we both have been, dutiful in that. So
for me, this feels like stepping over a new threshold, because I've been out of like the worship. I've been serving, but and no longer in the capacity of like the director. And now I'm kind of like, I was actually asked to do a few worship conferences, and it was still too raw. I didn't feel ready, but now I would be like, yes, I would do that. I'm ready now to do that again. So my background is music. I've been in ministry before. I love to talk about marriage, worship. What did we say earlier?
And we both have found that we both really love to talk about kids and protecting them, basically, and equipping them.
Yeah, so we had really, I was in the worship scene for how many years? I don't know, a while, guys.
Sorry if that vibrated.
So that's kind of who I am. And then Kylie asked me to join this, and there's just been all these steps to leading to where I feel like God is calling me. I think there's another step I'm about to take, and it's all just really exciting. So so we're just here saying, here we are, this is what we do. And Kylie, you need to talk about the books.
Okay, but first do you remember when I asked you to be on the podcast?
No.
I remember where I was standing, but it was through text messages, and I go, hey, I feel like what you're saying resonates with the podcast and what I feel like the Lord's leading me in. Do you want to come on? Do you want to help us? And 2 years later, here we are. Has it been 2 or 3? Actually, I feel like it's been 3.
Probably.
That's crazy.
How fast time goes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, I do remember that now you say it. Like, I feel like you need to be like the co-host podcast. Like, okay.
Here we are. Oh man, because a podcast is much easier to do when there's somebody with you. Yeah. Especially when it's one of your best friends. Sorry, everybody, I keep kicking the table and adjusting everything. So the book that she is talking about, the book Send Me, it's the 3rd book in the Isaiah series. I keep saying if you can't tell, talking about myself isn't my favorite.
She didn't want to do this.
And so I just laugh when I look at that picture, first of all, because I don't know if you remember reading it in the book.
So how do you wear it?
The exact opposite way as I have it. I was blaming Amazon. I have this shawl on in this picture.
And you can see this white part hanging. You can see this white part hanging down. And you still look really pretty.
Thank you. So that was barely 2 months, not even 2 months after we got the boys. But I remember thinking, they're going to go back soon, and I still want to document this. And all these things. So we had a photographer come out and take our pictures, and it was -1 degree that day. The boys were champs, and I'm just so shocked that they were willing to do it.
Oh, it's so cute though.
But yeah, I was blaming Amazon for the Smithsonian's shawl. It's hard to say. And I wore it anyway because I needed it on. And then come to find out about a year or two later, I don't even remember what it was now, I realized I was wearing it upside down.
That's so funny. It's exactly something I would do.
And so, but now I have a nice fur shawl. But this book is the third in the Isaiah series. I think I said that already, but the Isaiah series, I call it that because Project 6:8, if you didn't know, is based on Isaiah 6:8,
Yes.
the Bible verse, and it's then I said to the Lord, then the Lord said, who will I send, or whom shall go? And I said, here I am, send me. I really messed up that verse for a second. I even have it tattooed on my arm. But actually I just have send me tattooed. But the first book's called Here I Am, and that's kind of just like the beginning of, it's like in the beginning time frame of Project 6:8, but the beginning of really just laying my life down and giving it to the Lord.
Yeah.
And just learning to climb every mountain without fear. And because when I was part of my testimony, if you've never heard it, when all this started was when we were going through infertility. Kim was diagnosed with cancer. I was working as an agronomist, and in the middle of one of my field checks, the Lord just kind of captured me. After you think that I have cycles of rage towards God.
I wouldn't call it rage. It's very real moments.
Yes.
And that's, what we need to do that.
Yeah. So I was driving. It was actually so intense. I had pulled off to the side of the road. And the Lord just kind of was like, you're mine, and I'm going to use you, kind of thing. And but one of the things that I felt in like a soft whisper just kind of wash over me, and he said, sometimes you need to climb a little higher on the mountains that you have been praying to be moved. Like sometimes you just got to keep climbing. And and so I couldn't get stuck. Basically what I took out of it, I can't get stuck here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to survive here. So I need to move past this mountain and just keep climbing. Or to get over this mountain, I just need to keep climbing and praying. And that's when just everything kind of opened up. I then got baptized as a 22-year-old.
And I'm just going to tell our story. That's when I was on staff.
Mm-hmm.
I was at her baptism.
Yep.
And we knew each other.
Her son got baptized at the same time.
But we weren't really we weren't friends yet. And I remember thinking, oh wow, that's cool. Like she's getting baptized now, praise God. Like I was just there watching my son get baptized. We were at a pool, so I couldn't do music.
Yeah.
Did Tom bring his guitar?
We didn't have any music that I remember.
I thought Tom led one song.
Maybe you did.
Yeah, because I can't transfer a keyboard to a pool.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so yeah, our lives were kind of intersecting at different times before the Lord, I really believe, brought us together.
Yeah.
But I always thought Kylie was cool. Like, oh wow, she's got great clothes. Seriously.
Oh man. And yeah, the Lord definitely brought us together.
Yeah, so she wasn't on staff. I was on staff.
Yeah.
She had been before.
Yeah, and I was in a very bitter state. So actually, my dad my mom and dad were friends with them before we were friends. That's like Beth and Jimmy and everybody. And I remember mom and dad wanting us to get. We were going to church, but wanted us to get plugged in with the small group that Megan and Jesse were leading at the time. And I remember, I think Megan invited us, and I'm like, oh, okay. And in my head, I'm like, no way, I'm not doing it. And not because of her, just because, or Jesse or anybody in the group, it was because of where I was. And I'm just like, nope, no.
Yeah. No, you weren't rude, but I remember you were like, no, maybe not right now. And I was like, I get it.
Yeah. But yeah, so then, that moved.
So that was the first book.
Yeah.
What's the second book?
The second one, Who Will Go, was kind of just like, I guess covers more of the time period. You can see such a difference in my spiritual growth, in between the first and second, and the second and the third, and, but there's things that I kind of read through the first one not too long ago. I'm like, oh.
That's good, Kylie.
But, sometimes you're just like...
Yes, I know. If I were to go listen to, the first worship... Oh, no. I could tell you about the first worship service I ever read. I looked to the drummer every time to click us off, and at one point he actually rolled his eyes at me. I was like... And if you're a musician with me here, you're going to be like, are you serious, May?
That's hilarious. That's so funny.
So, yes, I understand looking back and going, But, we're meant to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, so Who Will Go? Man, that's kind of a harder one to kind of summarize. It basically, it talks about moving forward from, the infertility stuff. I don't feel like I really talk about it there too much. And we talk about how, the impact of my mother-in-law dying. But then just kind of realizing, I think the tagline in that book is sometimes it's just not about you. Mm-hmm. And realizing that we are all a part of a bigger picture. Mm-hmm. And, the verses that talk about suffering for Christ, that, we think of suffering for Christ is to be like Peter, who, said that he can't die in the same way as Jesus and getting nailed to a cross upside down. No, suffering is different. I would never want to suffer in the way Peter did, but there's different versions of suffering, and I don't think it's something that we can rank, because each life is different. And just basically that point in time was just, okay, God, I will go. The first book was Here I Am. This one is Who Will Go? And this is me saying, Lord, I will go. And so, I feel like each of these books are titled really well when I think about it, and not to pat myself on the back, this is totally a God thing, but the first book laying out exactly every thought and feeling that I had. So literally, Here I Am. Who will go? Being, okay, I'm willing to go. This is what's going to take. And then the last one's called Send Me, and he truly did send me, even though, I've left and did mission work, but Send Me was embracing the call. In my own home.
Yeah, for sure. In a powerful way. I was reliving it all with her in this book, and it's a great read. It took me just 2 mornings, because one, I couldn't put it down, so you could treat it as a devotional if you wanted chapter by chapter, but I read it in 2 mornings, and I was crying both times, just reminiscing, but also just because of the content, such a submitted heart before the Lord. And at times, even when you don't understand his plan, but you just take one faithful step at a time, even when it hurts. But there is growth and beauty in it all. So it's I can't recommend it enough. The whole series, but this one, I really love it.
Angie, who came on the podcast a couple episodes ago, she said she woke up to go to the bathroom at 3 a.m. and then she couldn't fall back asleep, so she read that. So she read it in between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. or something like that, and she said she just cried the whole time.
Oh, yeah,
so
I was crying.
Sorry in advance, but if it makes you feel better, I cried while writing it. And the last chapter, I feel like I could cry now.
It's still raw. It got me too. Especially, just after this weekend.
Yeah. But, sorry. Oh man. That's a day that I want to forget, but I know I won't. But I feel like that was such a turning point as well, to a different chapter, in many ways. And where was I going with that? But
I think you have surrendered your life in such a way, whereas a lot of people would be bitter at what has happened. You see it as the Lord growing you and calling you still higher up on the mountain. So it's a good lesson in accepting the cross that we all have our cross to bear. I don't know if that's actually scriptural, you guys. Take up your cross and follow me. Yeah. You do that, and you're just telling the world what it felt like in its high moments and in its low moments, and it's very inspiring. So I recommend the whole series, and Kylie would be like a phenomenal speaker on fostering. Mm-hmm. Like you could do a whole workshop on fostering and broken families. Yeah. That would be something she would be very familiar with. She's been in the system. She knows how it works. What got me, Kylie, as your friend, is reading, I knew how hard it was, but this was just a look into exactly how hard it was. And I'm like, man, it hurt. Sorry. It made me sad thinking of you going through all of it. Even though I was, with you, it was hard. Yeah. It was hard to see you go through it all. Yeah. You did it very well, friend.
Hey, thanks. Something that I am, I feel like I'm a passionate person, so I feel like I'm passionate about many things, but, like Meg said earlier, I'm very passionate about people learning to embrace their call. I'm very passionate about kids and, equipping them. Something else that going through this and the Lord's revealed to me, I'm very passionate about learning to, because I'm still learning this, but helping people grieve things that most people don't understand, like that and unconventional grief. Because in foster care, if you're familiar with it, if you reunify them with their biological family, it's like, yay, everything is perfect. Okay, 2 days, they're reunified. 2 days later, we're gonna call you with another placement, and you're just like, what? Why? Like, you're not like, I can't even think about this, and because to me, to me, it was like a death almost. And I'm like, I am in no way, shape, or form to take care of kids right now. I know people, obviously, I know parents take care of kids in times of grief, but if you have an option and, to say yes or no to taking care of a child when you're in an immense grief, especially a child that's going to come in to a whole new world to themselves, coming out of their own trauma, I was, or Seth, was going to be able to love them and help them like they needed to be helped.
Yeah, there's no comparing fostering to anything other than fostering.
Right.
You can't.
Yeah.
Because it's its own set of rules and guidelines, and it's not just parenting. You explain it very well in the book, everything you have to do, and most of the time these kids are coming to you very broken.
Yeah.
And so it's not like, well, you could say like, yeah, it's parents have to do this through grief, but it not exactly.
Right.
It's not exactly the same. Like,
Yeah.
it's a completely different call.
Yeah. And
all equally parenting, but I think you know what I say
Yeah.
by that. Like, this is not just standard. It's more.
There's so many, and I don't want to say this to deter anybody who's maybe thinking about it.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Getting used to the mics.
But there's so much to it. You were literally parenting with the government. We had a very good county. I feel like we're spoiled forever if we were to take in another child because we did have such a good county, and there's still things that I would change. But based on feedback from other foster families and stuff, it was not even comparable to what other foster families have to go through. And overall, we did have really good caseworkers as well, and same thing. And so the boy's story, so we were licensed to foster, and we were done by March of 2020. Well, everybody knows the world shut down. And what's really sad about that is kids weren't being seen. So kids were living in their abusive situations, in their neglect situations, because nobody was seeing them or being reported. And I just kept getting more and more anxious because I'm like, okay, well, we're doing this now. Like, why aren't they calling us? Why aren't, and this is why. And then there was like 10 calls that we did get and we said yes to, and then the county picked somebody else. It's just a kind of a confusing process. You can say yes, but it doesn't mean you're going to get them. And so when the call came for four kids, I didn't even really think twice. I honestly didn't even talk to Seth. I just said yes, and we had the room, and we ended up getting them. And I think our willingness to take 4 is because the only reason we got them, because they could keep most of them together then. Because they do have 3 sisters, but they all went to other places, and they were taken care of well too. But basically, where I was getting to with this is, I think that was all part of God's plan too. I needed the eagerness in me. He knew that if I were to wait, I would keep getting long enough. I'd keep getting more eager and more impatient. And he actually used it to his benefit of me saying yes to 4. I really believe that. People might say differently, but
oh no,
I'm like, I right now, if you ask me to take it, well, I guess I'm doing a respite. We're doing a respite this weekend 4, but it's not permanent. It's just for the weekend to help out another foster family. But if I were to get a call for 4 now, I would either say no, or I'd be thinking really hard about that. Like, there would be a lot more thought process.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, yes, we'll do it. Like I was then. Anyways.
So the book series are just hitting on all of that.
Yeah. So, yeah, hopefully we convinced you.
Well, they're very encouraging, very inspiring, you guys, so I would get them. I have them. What about the devotional?
So there's 2 devotionals. The Project 681 is basically the compiling of, if you were on the Project 68 email Bible study email list. I forgot about that. That was something in the very early stages of Bible or
Yeah, you used to send me emails.
Yes.
Like before we were friends, I signed up for your email. For real.
Yeah, and so there was about 150 people, or mostly women, and it was weekly for the most part until towards the end of it. I would send out email devotionals each week. And so I put them all together in a devotional, a 30-day devotional. Obviously I didn't use all of them because otherwise there'd be more.
You picked certain ones.
Yeah. And then so that one's what that one is. And that was also, that was written at the same time. I think that was published a month after the Here I Am was published. So that kind of that same time period, same mindset in, navigating of life. And Meant to Live, the 30-day devotional, was, I don't remember when that was released. It was close to Who Will Go. But that one, I would say, is a little more of like challenging you to think about things. I think you'll see my my bold personality.
Yeah,
in
like
it.
your cliff pushing tendencies.
Yes. Yes.
Everyone needs a cliff pusher.
Like, I feel like that one, each devotional, for the most part, is like almost challenging the person reading. Like, hey,
do it.
Yeah. Are you living this out every week, or are you just living it out of, on Sundays?
Yeah.
So that kind of thing.
Yeah. So all the books basically. So Kylie's founder, Project 68. She asked me to come on, and I was like, cool.
And she's a great addition.
Whatever. I tried.
You have wisdom that I do not have.
Well, I thank you. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but
I like giving her compliments.
I don't know how to do that.
Me either, but it's funnier when it's her.
Yes. But I would say the books really lay out, what Project 68 is about. And in addition, like we said, there's Midwest Girls, there's Table Talks. So if we were to say, I don't know what else to say. I had a train of thought, I completely lost it.
If like they wanted to get in contact with us.
Maybe that's it.
There is a way on our website. There should be, as far as snowing now. Sorry.
Last week's podcast was sunny.
It was.
Stinking Midwest.
There is like a forum on the very first page of our website, or you can email us at Project 68 ministry@gmail.com. Or you can always message us, like direct message us to start the conversation on any social media platform. Sometimes even I feel like in this day and age, that's like what's easiest, because then you just then you transfer over to phone calls or whatever. So that would be him.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I had him. I really wish I could remember my thought. It's gone. That's unfortunate.
But I highly recommend Meg to lead your worship at your event, because she's very talented.
Yeah. Sure.
You are.
Yeah.
She has one of the most amazing voices, and she could easily be, I think you could easily be famous.
What makes? Yes.
Maybe we could get Meg to do a Meg's music video.
She's been on me like this for like a number of years. Like, do music. Like, do Meg's music moment. Something.
Yeah.
Do it. No.
Can you tell I always play with the first letter? You don't have to do it like that. I think it would be cool.
Oh.
You could do like, hey, this song means a lot. Like, this is what I learned from it, so I'm gonna play and sing.
Yeah, in all seriousness, like, I have, like I've said, I don't need to tell my whole life story, but I do feel that the Lord is calling me to certain things, and I am saying, okay, I'm ready, basically. And so yes, I'm going to be trying to discern what is my next step, God? But I don't almost feel hypocritical from last week's podcast because I am at a place of peace, so I'm in no rush. But I guess it's just that those open palms, and they always have been, but I don't know. This just feels a little different now. Like almost like God's like, okay, now go.
Yeah.
And whereas before it was heal.
Yeah.
Time stop.
Yeah.
Be still.
Yeah.
And that's good. But you can be still and you can
move.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a big lesson I've learned.
That is one of my pet peeves.
Yeah. How many times have I gotten on your nerves?
I don't know.
Multiple.
Because I feel like for the most part you have done that. I mean, there's moments in my life where you stumble a bit and you're like, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
But, that's, I feel like a lot of people.
I honestly feel, maybe this is where I was going before, I do believe God ordained our friendship because a lot of these things, we've even stepped back and went, we learned this together, but in very different ways.
Yes.
Yes. We have weirdly said, if you were to combine both of our lives, aspects of mine and aspects of hers, we would have the one purpose.
Yes. We did say this.
We did say this.
I remember this text message.
Yeah, and I, it's just interesting how, and it makes me almost sad. Like, I think we are very similar, all this being said, but I think women fall into the trap of, well, I can only be friends with people who look like me, who are in the same, like, actually, no. There's not much growth there. And, not that you can't, like, that's a wonderful thing too, but don't dismiss a friendship. And not I ever wanted to dismiss you, don't take that, but like, God has used that to grow both of us.
Yes.
I've never wanted to dismiss you. Let's just put that out there.
No,
My heart would break. I will go cry.
Well, I was just crying the other day, like, I won't know my friends in heaven. Which I believe you will.
Yeah.
It was just how I took somebody's, it was a question, and the gentleman on the podcast answered it how I believe as well. Like, I believe you will know them. It might not be necessarily, like, you're not married in heaven kind of thing, but, which makes me sad. I don't want to think about that. But it's going to be different. Like, I won't feel sad because there is no sadness. So the heaven thing is just so hard for us to wrap our mind around. Anyway, I digress. I was crying because the question was, do you think we'll know our friends in heaven? And I'm like, I hope, and not that all my faith belongs in the sky, but I hope he says yes.
Please say yes.
Because I believe it's yes and anyone is.
I think so.
Oh yeah, I think heaven is going to be entirely different than most people think. In the sense of, we're not going to be floating in the clouds. We are meant to work. We were created to work. You can see that in the garden. There's a purpose. I believe we can just kind of look at our lives now and what our gifts and talents are and what we really love to do and do it well in a way that glorifies God, kind of thing. Yeah. And I believe that's what we'll be doing in heaven.
Yeah.
So,
and we get just glimpses of it here on earth. Like, if there's things you're passionate about here, well, Jesus has this purpose for you for eternity that will be very fulfilling and exciting and even better because you're going to be doing it with him. Yeah. Pastor Matt touched on that yesterday in his sermon. Yeah. But yeah.
But
so that's what it is. And that's what Kylie's done. That's what I've done. And
do you have anything you want to say about you?
I don't like talking about myself.
I feel like I talked a lot.
I mean, like, without going into my whole story, I guess, like, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I struggle with perfectionism, so I'm going to listen to this and, like, really hate it. That I'm not better prepared. But, yes, like, I was called into worship ministry in my 20s. I was mentored to do just that. And then, the Lord has been so gracious to open doors for me and put me in positions to learn more. And I think I'm going to further that education, even though I don't have, quote unquote, a job right now in that. And it doesn't have to be a job for it to be a call.
Mm-hmm.
We're all called.
Yeah.
And so, but it's kind of just stepping out in faith saying, okay, Lord, what? Okay, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
I was very like, I was a good worship director, and I'm not trying to brag, but there were things that he needed to teach me, and I'm grateful for the time of quiet, if that makes sense. And now I feel like I can step out into that scene again with just a bit more wisdom and understanding, and I want to.
Yeah.
Even if it's not that scene, if he would just call me to something completely different, I'm open to that.
Yeah.
It's just where I'm comfortable.
I'm excited to watch.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say about myself. I'm a mom.
Hey,
I'm a wife.
That's a big call.
Yeah, it is.
So.
And actually, I'm very passionate about that.
Yeah.
So I would talk about that. I think it's very important. I think it is a call in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Marriage is a call.
Mm-hmm.
Passionate about marriage. I would say that's one
marriage
of the
and mothering.
Yes. It makes me sad when I hear people not thriving in their marriages. I want people to, and I love talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's why we got our Joyful Marriage small group off the ground. So I'm an experienced small group leader. This is the first one we've led. It's been great, even though Kylie was laughing at me because I fell into some old tendencies. She's like, stay the course. Like, you're right.
This is why you need people. This is why we...
It's true.
I think we're also both passionate about community.
Yeah.
And making sure you're surrounding yourself with godly people.
Mm-hmm.
And ones who can lovingly direct you.
Yeah.
If they see you falling into a tendency.
Yeah, so that's probably something we could talk about very well too, is friendship.
Yeah.
What's it look like?
Right.
What's it supposed to look like?
Right.
Godly, God-honoring friendships.
Yeah.
So.
And being, I think it's like falls under what, Project 6-8's motto is being bold, truthful, and genuine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is a loving way to speak to your friends the truth, and I think that's where. And then there's a way you need to be prepared to receive it. I'm not the best at receiving correction, but that's something that the Lord's grown me in. But I appreciate when correction. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no.
So I feel like a lot of people are probably like that. It's just kind of
not always. It's biblical to not be easily offended,
mm-hmm.
and that's why I had lunch with a friend today, and I want her guidance in the small group. I said, "You will not offend me.
Yeah,
please guide me." Being open to that,
right?
So,
yeah.
So
it's a great place to get when you don't get so frazzled and upset because somebody disagrees,
or
yes.
is actually trying to help you.
Yeah. It's a great place to be. So, as a person, I think it was just some cultural things that I grew up dealing with. But here I am now.
You've never come across me as someone who's easily offended. You haven't.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say offended would be what I struggled with. Well, maybe that is a way to say it though. But
not that you would lash out.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more like that, like, oh, I wouldn't do that. But like inside you'd be like, hey.
Yeah. I know it was more when I worked in the real world, the non-ministry world, where things would happen and I'd be like, really? Like I just did the same thing that you just did.
Yeah.
And you're telling me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's another topic. That's another lifetime ago.
Yeah.
That was before books.
Isn't that funny?
Yes. Oh, I don't even want to go back there.
But it's nice, like, that's where people, like, I guess where Project 6-8 is very much like, you know what, there's purpose to your life.
Mm-hmm.
That is what it is. Like, God created each of you uniquely for a call and a purpose.
Yes.
And you should be able to look back at your life and go, that's where I was then. Even back further, that's where I was then. But here I am now.
Mm-hmm.
And now I know the Lord will, in a few years, I'll be like, and now here I am.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I led a prayer call this morning, and something I said on there is what I'd actually text you, because then it was like, I didn't even know what I was going to talk about until like a half hour before or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But he's already considered who you are before putting you and calling you to where you are now.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when he led you to the spot you're in now, and he knows every hair on your head, he knows every innermost thought, he knows every gift and talent you have, but he also knows every single fault you have.
Yeah.
So he's taken that
Into consideration. Yeah. So what are we waiting for?
Yeah.
Really.
Really.
If we were all to just remember, we could make the gates of hell quake if we all were to just stand in the power that Jesus has given us through the Holy Spirit and live the life we're called to live.
Yes.
And that's what Project 6-8 is trying to inspire people to do.
Yes.
You don't have to be the missionary. You don't have to be the pastor. Mm-hmm. Every person is called.
Yes.
Where you are, that is true.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
And I had a way to sum it all up and I lost it. I must need some water or something.
Oh, I need water. I have been very bad at drinking water today. But
for real, I'm getting upset with myself. I had a good way to sum it up, and it's just gone.
Embrace your call.
Man, I'm human.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Well,
I
think that's it. Next week we have our pastor on.
So excited.
Yes. And actually he's going to be touching on what we just talked about.
Yeah. And when he was like, this is what I think I'm going to talk about, girls. I hope someone out there needs to hear it. I'm like, hi.
It's me.
It's me. I'm one of them. I'm sure there's more.
Oh, yes.
It's going to be great. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I'll be getting back from the second grade field trip and heading straight here. So give me grace.
Good thing he'll do most of the talking.
Yes. If I look funny, you'll know why.
Oh, it'll be good. It'll be good. Yeah, so we'll be back next week, and we pray that this just kind of, I guess, gives you an insight to what we do here, but most importantly, like, encourages you to be bold and unashamed of your love of Christ, and to think about, are you embracing your call that he has in your life? Are you willing to say, Lord, here I am, send me? Because when you're willing to do that, I mean, I'm not saying my life's been easy. May wouldn't say that either. But when you live a surrendered life, as I believe both of us do, it's easier because we have Jesus.
Yeah, and we have the ability to look at our life and go, that's why you did that.
Yeah.
That's why you did that. And we want that for all Christians.
Yeah.
You're not meant to just live in this constant state of limbo where I'm like, I just got to read more, I got to do this more. No, like, guys, we all have this path to walk, and you should be walking it, running it, sprinting it, crawling it. There's all different phases of life. Yeah. There's always forward momentum. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Here's a way I want to sum this up. And this is from, or here's my advice I want to close out with, I should say. This is from one of the most profound things I took from church camp. I remember it very vaguely. He was talking about, we were probably junior high at that time. I was in the junior high camp at that time. Mm-hmm. And Pastor Jason said that he was already teaching his girls who were like 8-ish years old and younger, like, hey, I want you to find a man who runs past you towards Jesus. Yeah. And that's very true for your spouse, but I also want to encourage you to surround yourself with friends like that. Just people in your life. Surround yourself with people who are going to try to beat you in a good way to Jesus. Like, they're actually not even concerned necessarily where you Okay, that sounds horrible too. But you know what I mean? Like, nothing is stopping them.
Yeah.
They are running.
They're encouraging you.
Yes, they are running to Jesus.
Yeah. We press on towards the goal.
Unashamedly. And they are alongside you to cheer you on. But you want to surround yourself with people who, challenge you at the same time.
Yeah.
So
I think Kyla and I have both tried to be open books when it came just being honest with our lives and have shared that on here. She shared it in her books. That's what we would do.
Yeah. So, well, we love you guys and we'll be back next week.
Yeah.
So,
God bless.
God bless.
Yeah. That does hurt my ears.
It presses on the top.